at my camera, which I think gives me more the look that I'm talking to people. So,
be yourself.
But I want to see how I'm looking too.
I'm now going to click the welcome Ron to his first day on Blab.
Thank you very much, Moreno. I'm looking forward to it.
Great, so are we. So we will start any second now.
Okay.
Okay. So, hey, welcome everyone to Moving Frames, a new live multimedia streaming radio show from which I hope you get much value. Thank you for showing up. This is Moreno broadcasting from Port Moody, 25 kilometers east of Vancouver. I'm with Vancouver Media Marketing, the sponsor of this show. And we are here to quiz business owners about what they do and how they help people like us. And also, we will find out how video content marketing helps them promote their business. So today, to mix things up, I've invited Ron Gorman from Wild West Coast Seafoods to keep things interesting. And I'm going to read from his bio so you know who Ron is. Ron Gorman Jr. runs Wild West Coast Seafoods in Vancouver, Canada, a family-based business at local farmers markets and online. Ron Jr. worked for almost 20 years in the childcare behavioral assessment industry before Ron Sr., who was the first fisherman for almost 40 years, hooked Ron Jr. into helping build the business. Wild West Coast Seafoods promotes locally caught fish in British Columbia and Canada-wide caught seafood. Ron has a passion for introducing people to the wide variety of West Coast seafood, sharing ideas on how to cook seafood, while educating consumers on industry basics so they can make more confident seafood choices for their families. Sounds very interesting, and I'm looking forward to this, Ron.
Thanks, Moreno.
To keep everything, to get the most out of today, out of the show, we will keep the chat on topic, and we encourage everyone to participate by entering comments in the chat box, which you will find on the lower right-hand side. I think I have an image here there we are, down at the bottom there. That's where you can enter your comment. And if you wish to ask a question so that we can address it, then in the same box at the bottom there, in front of your comment, preceded with /Q. And I think I have a picture of it here as well. There we are. Couldn't be clearer than that. Okay. And of course, give us props. Everybody likes encouragement and participation from the audience. Ron, are you ready?
I am. I'd just like to say this is my first time doing webcam, if you can believe it. Before we looked at doing this show, I hadn't even set up my microphone for the camera. So as much as I'm feeling a little bit weird about, oh, wow, I'm online right now, I think that's the premise that a lot of people feel about seafood. So that's why we're talking about the questions that we're talking about today. So I appreciate your encouragement in this process, and I appreciate the opportunity, Moreno. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're very welcome, Ron. So can we start with the first question? I have a list of what I think are really interesting questions that address people's real concern these days, especially about seafood. And the first question is this one here, which I've put up here, and maybe we can get the bigger question in the top video seat. There we are.
Nice.
Is tuna still okay for me to eat? And that is an excellent question, because I've repeatedly heard people ask about what is the connection with tuna and mercury.
Mercury. Sure. The short answer is yes. Tuna is okay for you to eat. But the qualifier is which tuna. So at the farmers markets, we like to let people know about the issues facing the fish on the West Coast. So a lot of people, first off, don't even know that we have tuna here on the West Coast. We have an albacore tuna. It's a fish that migrates from Haida Gwaii all the way down to Portland, Oregon. One of the neat things about fish with mercury that you mentioned, Moreno, albacore is a smaller fish compared to those huge, gigantic fish that you see on YouTube or on the news saying, oh, be careful, don't eat too much tuna. Those larger fish are chowing down on a lot of smaller sea life in the ocean. Hence, there's always the consideration that you may have that fish ingesting the toxins from those other species. Albacore is in a healthy ocean. The testing that they've done over the last 20 years with mercury have been so consistently good with albacore that the BC government actually puts out a HealthLink webpage about fish with mercury. That's specific to the West Coast, and that's the key. When you see a news story on TV, you've always got to ask, is what they're saying true of fish on the West Coast? And so the HealthLink page actually puts out the statement that BC caught, BC processed albacore tuna has no portion limits, and that's inclusive of pregnant nursing mothers. That, I think, is a huge piece of the puzzle that a lot of people don't know. So I never get tired sharing that good news about local West Coast caught albacore tuna.
Thank you for that. And I have a link. Is this a link that people can go to bctuna.com?
Absolutely. So bctuna.com, Bruce Devereaux is the fisherman, and that website is his. They're the folks we get our albacore tuna from. And then we have another website link, which is also, yes, correct. Those have just popped up.
So people now can click on these links, which they find on the lower right-hand side of the screen, and they can go to these websites and get this information, correct?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely, because people want to know, and I don't know about you, but when I walk into a grocery store, I'm actually not even ready to ask those questions about, well, where's your tuna caught? We've been doing markets for, it's going to be 8 years this year. And before that, I never would have thought to ask, oh, where's this tuna from? I had no parameter, but that's the beauty of the farmers markets. You can get those kinds of basic information from the vendors so that you can have an idea of what you're putting into your body and what you're buying for your family.
Yes, I've noticed these great one-on-one relationships with people at the farmers markets. I have a second question here. And this is also a question frequently asked. Is fresh better than frozen fish?
That, and you know, all these questions, I say countless times, I answer them countless times with customers through the summer, through the winter markets. And there's a real big, I guess, misconception that fresh, what you see in your grocery store, for example, is better than flash frozen. So again, it's about digging a little deeper into what that question involves. If you were to have a fisherman go out on his boat, bring in his catch that very day, as you can with sockeye salmon, and you got that fish that day and it was caught that day, there's nothing better, period. But those options aren't really abounding in a coastal province like BC. Most of our products end up that by the time you see fish in a store, the boat can be out anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Fish is kept in an oxygenated, it's called ozonated water with ice. keeps it fresh, and then it comes in, it gets processed, sent out to the store. That process of what you see in the store can be anywhere from 5 to 8 days before it's even gotten there. And there's some international product that it's longer than that before they see fresh of what they see in the store. So flash freezing, what that does, there's a lot of technology today that saves fishermen a little bit of money in the long run. So if I can freeze those fish on the boat at a -40 and then bring them in to be processed, cut into fillets, steaks, however you want, and it's sold as a frozen product, it freezes the quality of it just being caught in the ocean rather than it being a product that's gotten frozen, say 5 days in. And then you end up not knowing if you have something that has chemical preservative. Flash freezing is actually a great way to not have chemical preservative with your product and have the freshest quality catch, but in a frozen form.
Very interesting.
So not all frozen is great. We can certainly agree that going and grabbing some fish that has been sitting on a store shelf or is designed to last for 2, maybe 3 years,
yes,
because it's been chemically preserved. You just don't know what's going on.
I have another question closely related to that regarding quality, and
Sure.
it's this. What's better, farmed or wild fish?
Now, I don't know if you guys are getting the theme of my responses. Nothing is ever a simple answer. And that's okay, because this is the place to start. It depends the fish you're talking. It depends the type of fish farming involved. What I like to try and get people to think about when they're making decisions is not so much this is good and this is bad, making issues black and white. An informed decision is always the better decision. So, for example, the majority of farmed fish these days come from open pen farms in the ocean. I don't agree with this way of doing fish farming right now, mostly because they're having a really difficult time dealing with salmon anemia, and they're also having a difficult time with sea lice. It doesn't mean that there aren't land-based systems that are actually working really hard to find a more environmentally sound way to farm fish. There are solutions. But that's what we like to do, is provide people with good information to make those decisions. You can, if you want to do the research, go for it. But my quick answer that I give people, if you don't want to do the homework, stay away from farm fish for now, and wild is always a really healthy option. That being the case, always ask your processor.
Yes, wild is always preferred. However, associated with wild is the increased cost, hence the next question.
Absolutely.
How come seafood has gotten so expensive?
I might twist this around with, why is some seafood really, really cheap? The phrase that I learned in high school when I took a consumer ed course, buyer beware, that's no more relevant yesterday than it was today. It's so important to ask the questions. So seafood's gotten expensive for a number of reasons. First, could you imagine taking your SUV, filling it up at $1.30 a liter, now times that by a fish boat that is having to deal with the gas and the fuel costs. Fuel costs are through the roof for the everyday fishermen. Fishing, being able to afford to run a boat these days has become something of a challenge. You will see up and down the West Coast, fishermen that have spent a lifetime on the ocean, they're not able to afford to run their boats anymore to pay their crews. So they're getting out of the business, and things are being bought up by major corporations who can afford the fish licenses, who can afford the quotas, and who can afford to pay their staff. So that's one of the things. So for example, on the quota system, for those who don't know what a quota system is, it means, Moreno, if you're a fisherman and you've got a quota that you can catch 10,000 pounds of halibut. Now, you want to retire, just sit back, relax, you've done all the hard work, but you've got your quota. Young Joe fisherman me can go up to you and say, can I lease that quota from you? And so they come to an agreed price. What happens is that price that the fisherman brings his halibut in for, right off the top, you're looking at the division of up to 50% of that cost. So if a fisherman's getting $10 a pound for halibut off the dock for his fish, $5, up to $5 could go to this retired fisherman. And you could be sitting pretty, making quite a bit of money, not doing any of the hard work, but you've got the quota. I've got to pay for that boat to run and operate out of that half cost of what I'm getting for my fish. So that certainly affects the price point, and then add someone processing that halibut into portion sizes for you and sending it out to a supermarket where they put their price point on it. And then you've got a lot of people getting their kick at the can with getting the price of halibut to where it is today.
So it's an increased demand and increased costs. It all drives up prices.
Absolutely.
I want to ask.
It's absolutely.
I want to ask a question. I want to go back to freezing. I want to ask a question related to that, which is as follows. How long can people keep the fish frozen in their freezer?
So if you go to, say you decide you want to stock up for the summer, or for the winter, sorry, and you go down to the docks, you get your freshest possible catch of your sockeye. Depending on how it's packaged, depending on how you store it in your freezer, can determine that. So I've had people that throw their whole fish in their freezer just by themselves. With the bone, the skin, sure, it can be protected. The best possible way to optimize fish staying in your freezer is in a vacuum seal, even if it's wrapped in newspaper, which we do for our customers, so that it just gives that extra layer of protection, so that if you're going, I'm tucking this away and I'll get to it when I get to it, vacuum sealing is the way to go. A little bit of newspaper, or if you have a larger box and you can put your seafood in that box, it'll help protect it. But here's one thing that's beautiful about how we get all of our product flash frozen. That freezes the product at -40. So something that I have in my cold storage unit that I've had for 6 months, you can open up that box with it having been flash frozen and well vacuum sealed at that -40. That can preserve the quality of your fish for a lot longer. I've had people buy salmon from me the following summer because we had some stock left, and they said it was the best fish that they have ever had. And that's really common. So having it well packaged and having it flash frozen absolutely will beat you putting that fish from the dock in your freezer thinking you've got a fresher product. It will go bad a lot quicker.
Interesting. That's very practical. Ron, I'm going to try and unplug my headphones. Tell me if you experience any unwanted echoes, and then I'll change it back to headphones.
Okay.
All right. Next question I have is the difference between link cod and Pacific cod.
Sure. On the West Coast, we have two types of cod, lingcod and Pacific. And essentially, people just want to know the difference. They're both named something similar. Lingcod is a nice, meaty fish. For those who like to save a bit of money on the halibut route, halibut is gorgeous and beautiful. We love it. It's got a nice, meaty texture, and it goes with practically anything. It's a very versatile fish. It's not really well promoted or marketed in BC, but a lot of Asian countries absolutely love lingcod. It's got a massive, chunky, strong head, and they can be up to about 50 pounds. They can be quite large. Pacific cod is what you typically know as your fish and chip cod. It's light and flaky, got a mild texture, really goes best with some simple kinds of flavors. So that's, and because those are fairly run-of-the-mill, middle road price point, they're very, very popular with our customers.
Is the sound quality okay still, Ron?
Yep, I'm hearing you good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's an interesting to hear the difference between the Link cod and Pacific cod. And my next question is once again related to health issues. You know, what we touched on earlier on in this program when we were talking about the tuna and the mercury, etc. This one is relating to radiation, specifically the Fukushima radiation.
For sure.
You know, so some people have been concerned about this radiation moving across the ocean, in the air and through the waters from Japan. What is your take on that?
Sure. So I'd like to take this time to remind people, I'm an everyday folk. I'm not a scientist. My dad was the fisherman for our family. So what I know is I've had to do a lot of research on this. And when Fukushima first happened, there was I don't know if you guys saw, there were all kinds of postings that created a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and our business certainly took a hit. But when you're in the business of helping share good, solid information, I have no investment in Moreno to try and sell you radiated fish just to try and make a sale. I'm a small business, and it's my face that you see when you buy stuff from us, or it's someone from my family. So we have a vested interest in being honest and upfront. Here's what I know. I can't explain the scientific details, but I've found a few different documents, and I believe the links will be coming up in the message board a little bit. But essentially, the Living Ocean Society and the Canadian Albacore Tuna website, both of those put up documents. I read through a lot of different pieces of information in my research, and you've got to focus on credibility, not only scientific proof. And so these are two articles that actually quote reports that have happened. Radiation is so far below by 20,000 times, 20,000 times what would be acceptable radiation in our water. What I've heard is that there are some bits of radiation that we experience around us, but the government, with its regular testing, stays on top of that. And so that to me was a huge relief to finally have documents that I could forward to people. So whether someone here on the show can interpret all of the data, these were documents that I know as a consumer I could feel more confident about. So, and that's been
done.
Oh yeah.
I think that will give people who want more information a place to go to, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Living Oceans is an environmental organization. So the reports that got done, not only were they people that fundraised money to do grassroots initiatives for testing, but there are scientists, there are environmental groups that all did their testing, as well as the Canadian government for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. So there's a lot of good information out there. We're good. That being the case, me as a consumer, I can hear all this information. If Fukushima is still leaking, in my head, I still go, what do we do with that? And here's what I can encourage people with. Before Fukushima and continuing through and after, all seafood that gets caught in BC and is destined for Canadian consumption has to, by law, be tested on regular random sampling. You have scientists that are on boats seeing the fish coming in, tracking their sizes, tracking their development. They're doing scientific testing on the fish to see where they stand. So there's a lot of good infrastructure systems in place to protect our West Coast healthy product. Doesn't mean there's not pockets of some fish where, for any number of reasons, for example, recently people are talking about the LNG up north affecting the sockeye run, and then the US is concerned that their sockeye runs are going to be infected with the opening of this. And so people are really concerned about that. But the good thing is that there is a lot of testing going on.
That's good to know. Before we jump to the next question, I want to welcome Nura, who has joined us. The next question has to do with sustainability. What are your thoughts on that, Ron?
Again, buyer beware. Sustainability, local, there are all kinds of catchphrases, and business wants to do what they want to do. Here's a frustration with me. When I would go out and buy yogurt, and I'd want to buy yogurt that was fat-free, not that I care about that anymore, but I started to realize that there are parameters to how businesses operate where they can go, can we get away with calling this fat-free even if it isn't, but if we have a certain amount of fat reduced in our product. And I found, as I got to know more in the farmers market system, I started to question a lot more of what was going on in the way food was being sold to me. And it got really frustrating that it's hard to get straight answers. So in terms of sustainability, there are two tools. When people talk about sustainability, there's pretty much three parameters. How is the fish caught? What is the health of the fish in terms of biological testing? And stock management. Are the numbers strong? And again, as a layperson who's not a hardcore fisherman, an example is Canadian BC sockeye is considered ocean-wise, not only for the way it's caught, not only for its health benefits, but also for its stock management. What I have not been able to find a clear answer on is when we see summers come and go where there are huge numbers expected and then we end up with much less. And it seems there's a lot more questions to stock management than there isn't. I'm not the king of knowing anything exceptional about that, but that's me as a consumer going, I wish there were harder numbers to understand every year what's going on with the sockeye runs. And we hear, again, online, we hear a lot of frustration, a lot of misinformation, a lot of panic. And sockeye goes through 4-year cycles where we have a huge number, and then the rest is kind of, it happens as it happens. So in terms of a tool for you and I, ocean-wise, there's a program out of the Vancouver Aquarium, and they do this. They grade all sorts of fish with exceptional detail so that you can be able to look on their site and go through and find out, well, what fish is good for me to eat? Am I making a healthy choice? The other is the Sea Choice program, and this is really handy. If you guys have an iPhone out there, they don't have the app for Android yet, but the iPhone can download an app where if you're going out for dinner, Moreno, and they have a type of sturgeon or trout, and you're not sure what the status of that is, you can actually go to the app on your phone and find out. And all I can say is my time in the farmers markets, when it comes to sustainability, I always kind of came at this from, well, what does my little piddly grocery budget have to do with nothing in terms of making choices? Here's what I know is that the farmers markets are operating in the $5 to $6 billion in sales, and it's creating challenges for the major supermarkets to review how they're doing things. And you'll find that a lot of the major supermarkets now have huge sections of their business where they're promoting local, and they're trying to get on board with sustainable initiatives because they know people are starting to care. That yours and my food budgets, which aren't trillion-dollar budgets, but they're together with everyone, we're creating change in how food is brought to us. And that's, I think, really exciting for me, is that the more people find out about this, the more I go, maybe I'm going to get this type of bread, or I'm going to get this type of chicken. Well, the major companies are listening, and our voice does matter.
And sustainability is definitely an issue.
definitely is. And don't just assume that because Ron Gorman uses the word sustainable means I should be able to back it up with some examples. And if someone can't back up their product with why it's sustainable or what their process was all about, then you might want to take a second guess and go to find someone that does have answers about their product.
Yes. Ron, do you have people that ask you about sushi?
I do. And for the longest time, I had a hard time finding answers. Yes, we do. We have a few products that we can have people eat as sushi. Our tuna loin, I mentioned something about freezing at sea, flash freezing. Well, the tuna is actually, the head is cut off and the tuna is bled on the boat. Then within hours of it being caught, they freeze it at -40. This allows you to walk into a local sushi place, and if they say, yes, we've got frozen at sea albacore tuna, you can eat that as sushi. So that's something that we're really excited about, and particularly because of such a high level of health for wild albacore BC tuna. It's a top-rated choice in OceanWise and Sea Choice, and so that's pretty fantastic. We also carry a wild harvested flash frozen Nova Scotia scallop. They're frozen at sea, they're wild harvested, they're hand shucked, they are pristine. And yes, that's the difference, is they're frozen at sea. And so with our sockeye as well, we've had sockeye in the past, we've also had Chinook in the past that's frozen at sea. So that's really your safety factor. The frozen at sea, especially if it's a species that does go through a parasitic cycle, it's important that the flash freezing actually kills those parasites, that you don't have to worry or be concerned. There's a lot of rumors. Oh my goodness, fish and worms. And I had a story when I was a kid, and everyone freaks out. So yeah, so we do. So that's
Ron,
awesome.
One of our listeners has made a comment. Carl Tyrone says that he loves veg sushi. If you look on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there's his comment.
Oh, excellent. For sure. And that's the beauty. I don't know about anyone else, but I think there's a lot more options that are coming to the. I would giggle when I'd have friends say I'm a vegetarian. When I was a teenager, I go, "Oh, you eat hay?" I didn't have a concept of what that meant, and there are a lot of options so that you don't have to choose. You don't have to feel like you're denying yourself, I think. So loving veg sushi, there's all kinds of wonderful, tasty options. So I think that's fantastic. Thanks, Carl.
I also want to welcome Jackie Burton, who has joined us. The next question I have is a question which people in your community that are listening in are probably asking. And that is, do you have a storefront? How do you operate?
Sure. So again, going back to who I am, we're a family. My dad was a fisherman for 40 years. I'm not some major conglomerate. So when we buy fish, what goes into our thinking of trying to stay competitive and choosy is that we need to think, how can we reduce some of our costs so that we can at least stay within the pocket of competition? I'm not a Jimmy Pattison who owns all kinds of Save On Foods and owns processing plants and fleets of fish. He can certainly get a great price point because he's dealing on a plane that I will not be at, I don't think, ever. And that's all good. That's something that, I feel amazed at what someone can do with BC Fish. So we don't have a storefront. We actually operate predominantly out of the farmers markets. We do the New West, the Burnaby, and the Coquitlam farmers market. And in the winter, we do the Port Moody farmers market. That allows us to keep having a storefront and having those costs down so that when we price point things, there's a lot of times where we can actually be even more competitive for our price point because of the ways we've chosen to pick certain products. We don't just choose the costly ones so that we can try and get more money out of our customers. There's a lot of wonderful fish on the West Coast that are family friendly for pricing. And that, again, if people can afford to eat fish, that's what we want to try and bring to them, as something that's family friendly for pricing, as well as the people that go, I don't care what price Halibut is, I love it, I want it. So yeah, and we also do online sales. It's as easy as going to our website or checking out with us on Facebook, sending a message. And we're all about trying to connect with people, whether it's a delivery system or they can come meet us at the market and place an order.
Ron, that was the last question I had lined up. And the answers to these questions have been very, very interesting. Thank you for that. Definitely very informative and information that people can take away and make informed decisions. Definitely.
Thank you.
Ron, I want to ask you some questions regarding the use of video content marketing in your business.
Sure.
To hear how you use this technology to help market your business.
Absolutely. Sorry, say that again.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about how you use video to help you market Wild West Coast seafoods. And I think you've had some experience in that last year. And the first question is, as has come up there now, which type of video do you think a company should start with when they first set out to use video content marketing in their marketing mix?
Sure. Well, what I love about marketing, and I guess we can take some of our cues sometimes from Super Bowl ads. Entertainment factor can be huge, but we actually went with an informational introductory kind of video, which Moreno helped us work through. And we were excited about that. We also do, on my own, before I'd met Moreno, all of the social media channels now seem to have an option where you can do little tiny video clips, and just giving people a snippet. People love to see visual things. And so that's when Moreno asked me about doing some video marketing. The first thing I thought is, okay, well, I guess we've got to get out there. Well, who are we? So that people can get a quick read on what it is we're all about with our business.
And what would you say the 3 most important benefits are in using videos in a company?
I think the first is exposure to your brand or your business. If I never ran into you, Moreno, you could have been referred to by a friend who said, check this video out of my fish guy at the farmer's market. And you could already get an informal read on who I was. So I think that's first and foremost. We want people to know what it is we're doing. And also, it's not time sensitive. I think that's a huge benefit. I don't have to be staying up till all hours to try and catch anyone and everyone and be on every single site at the time when people, that's the beauty of the internet, is that people are there all different times of the day, and they can find us whether or not they've come to a farmer's market or ever heard of our business. And it's easy, again, I think, for our customers. When we had no online presence whatsoever, all customers would have to base a decision on whether they wanted to bother to come see us at the market. Is friends would say, oh, my fishmonger at the market, he's great. That carries weight, there's no doubt. But them being able to say, check out his Facebook page, you can get a better idea of what's going on. It makes it super convenient for people to share that referral process.
Ron, I have a list of different types of videos. I think it would be interesting if we go through them and see if you can identify applications in your business for them. I've separated them into 3 lists because there are just too many to display on just one seat. And
Perfect.
Then we can go through them one by one. Let me see if I can get the list of videos up on the in the window. And here we are. Right.
There we are.
The first is a video that a business owner would use to describe or tell the history from past to present of a particular company. And I think that we did that last year in your case, where you gave an introduction, a background to the origin of your company, where it started and how it evolved and how it got to the present state. And
Sure.
Another type of video that some people use is how-to explanations. People or business owners that produce products where the application or the benefits of that particular product needs to be explained to the audience. I think in your case, how would you use that? Maybe to describe how certain types of fish need to be prepared, how they are cooked, how they are consumed.
Yep.
Maybe you can elaborate on that, Ron.
Sure. One thing that we've leveraged, the beauty of social media, up until the time when Moreno helped us create our introductory video, this how-to always plagued me, because I thought, oh, think of all the recipes I'm going to have to do myself. And I've got a few tricks, but I'm not the king of everything when it comes to cooking. But the beauty of social media is you can use video clips, and I don't know if anyone has someone in their life who's either on Pinterest or Instagram, and the things that stimulate people's creativity, from cake making and how to make crab cakes, all these videos, and you see hundreds of thousands and millions of followers on that social media. So that, to me, and these people weren't a superstar, they were everyday people going, I'm sharing my passion. So absolutely. One of the things for now, what we've done is we've just put links to our website with recipe videos. But now that we've got a bit more of the video making bug from Moreno, we're wanting to try and take those how-to explanations and have a little bit of fun with them, whether it has to do with filleting a fish, whether it has to, how can I do something totally different with seafood that I've never tried before, but that it's easy enough for me to do. So we're looking forward to including some of those. My sister-in-law and I are going to try and create a nice little online persona of back and forth banter to create some opportunities on how to cook fish.
Those videos would be very engaging because they show you people how to do things, and people are interested in being shown how to do certain things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe what YouTube is like. It's insane, you know? And so it really does say people have a need to go, I want to connect. And I want to connect with everyday people. These aren't superstars. They're everyday people who are really affecting change and good at engaging people.
Yes, people that can associate with. Another type of video are product reviews. Perhaps your business could use this type of video to explain different fish that are available for consumption. What do you think of that idea?
I think that the way we do business, you want to honor, I think we need to honor our customer base because they've taken a risk by supporting us and following through. But I think one thing that's really exciting is getting them involved in that process. People like to feel they're making a difference. And something as simple as someone stopping by our market and going, oh my goodness, you know, I like this fish and it's really easy to make. It's something that we haven't done before because for some reason we always looked at, oh, I don't want to bother people with. But people are really gracious with something that they like. They're really gracious to want to try and help and reach out. So I think especially when you talk about in business that 10 or 15% of your regular dollars that are coming into your business, or sorry, most of the money that comes into your business happens with about 10 to 15% of your client list. It means the people that are behind you 110% regularly, they're there. So why not bring them in as that partner to just help? Because people like that. It creates goodwill. And as a customer, they're much more engaged.
Yes, they are the real consumers. The last one I have
Right.
on this list is unboxing. Now, unboxing means showing people there's something in the box. We're now going to take it out the box, literally unboxing something. You know, it's mysterious. There's something unknown. People are curious. People like to see that. In your case, I'm not sure how you would use an unboxing type of video. Take a fish out of a box.
Right. You know, that would be something I'd have to think about. But all I can say, I don't know if you've seen this at all, Moreno, but there's a lot of businesses that are doing these order a box once a month. My Pet Store has it where you can receive a box of stuff that there are people at the farmers markets that join either a seafood or a chicken, what's called a CSA, a community supported agriculture, community supported fishery. And essentially you're getting a box month by month or week by week if it's the farmer's market for produce. People love this kind of box idea. So as you were describing that, I thought, what is it that we can create, whether it's what comes out of the box for as a customer for Wild West Coast Seafoods. I could see how we could get really creative with going, yes, here's the things that come with your halibut.
Great surprise.
Is the recipe. Yeah, the chance to win contests to get gift certificates for product by posting your recipe online. That's where I think we could maybe use that kind of concept in a video, but it's about, instead of just going, oh, great, I've got a whole bunch of thawed fish in here.
Only limited by imagination. Certainly something we can explore.
Absolutely.
Another one is bloopers. Bloopers are always funny videos. You know, when things go unexpectedly wrong, are not part of the main cut, so you set them aside. However, afterwards, when one looks at all the bloopers that happened during production in the backstage, it's comical, it's entertaining. And one can use those snippets to create humor, entertainment, and thereby promote one's company.
You know, this is funny that you mentioned bloopers because just today before this radio show, we're making cupcakes for our family. And I did a little Instagram post of the process and I put the proper one on. But if we had saved those other bloopers where we're swearing going, oh man, I just screwed up. But people love that. I mean, America's Funniest Home Videos has been going for how many years? Because we love watching people at their own expense with something that happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think being able to laugh at yourself and being able to just be honest and go, okay, Ron sounds like he's all together, but then have those moments. Oh, there we go. I get to see a little more into the window of Ron. So yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun.
And videos that are called cutscenes and behind the scenes videos are associated to bloopers. Yeah.
You know, the things that I see other businesses that are doing on Facebook or Instagram where they're just nebulous little things of the production. There's a farmer that I know who walks down his fields and he's going, guess what? I planted this, this, and this. Not only is the message, yes, I'm the man growing this, but it's also people want to go, well, gee, I just don't know. I mean, farmers are a dying breed. There's not a lot of people these days that go, I know what I need to do to farm. So yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yes, there are always cut scenes and behind the scenes because in any production, pieces always get cut out. And only a small part remain in the final production. Then there are previews to upcoming events. Do you have any upcoming events that regularly, well, I'm sure you do, that regularly occur in your line of business that are seasonal? Actually, last year, I remember that during Halloween, that was a special event, and the crowd was enormous. I'd never seen so many people out there before. And there were different types of activities that are not common to the farmers market. So that could be a preview video to this year's upcoming Halloween weekend.
Absolutely. I think some people are better than others with going, how do I do this outside of the box? Instead of me I started social media. Hey, here's what we're bringing to the market. And that was it. It's a start. It's a place to go. But yeah, people are hungry. Again, I think it comes down to customers. Customers want you to make the effort to engage them. And when they feel like you've gone out of your way to create something by knowing what it is that's important to them, and that's the same story whether you're Save On Foods or a car dealership or you're a fishmonger at the farmer's market. We're all in the business of trying to engage people and maintain those people, keep those connections going, because it's people to people that sell things. If people don't get to connect with me socially, then I might as well consider that they're not going to be buying product. They may here and there, but really we make those purchases based on relationships.
So create anticipation through unexpected events that will happen in the near future. Create intrigue, suspense.
I mean, Christmas is the perfect example of how we all spend like no tomorrow. Well, there's a need that's been created, and I think we take the lesson in the positive that goes, okay, if major business are working really hard to get us to spend, why not a smaller business recognize the emotional connection to purchasing?
Yes.
That gets people excited. So what is it that's going to get people excited about BC seafood for me? And it's not just about me yapping about it.
Yes. Another very important video for your line of business is tutorials, which translated is how to cooking recipes, how to prepare food.
Yeah, I mean, we've done this past year, I've done 3 different food demos and speaking engagements around our product. And I tell you, it's really exciting to be able to connect with people on that front. So we're going to start including that. And more importantly, we're going to start doing some taping of those little moments that we can share with people. But we certainly are looking forward to, I mentioned about my sister-in-law, that we want to start doing something. And again, not something that goes, I'm the king of all chefs. Let's have fun with our food. Let's get excited about going. This may not look perfect, but oh, it tastes amazing. People like that idea to bring back that sense of enjoyment about their food. So tutorials, I think, when you bring your passion and your fun and your silly, all of it can really create a really wonderful experience.
Ron, we're quickly running out of time, so we need to speed through these remaining points. There are not many. Testimonials are also very important videos to give people confidence in your business, to create trust and credibility. So that is something that should be ongoing for any business.
Absolutely. And I don't, you probably see this all the time, Moreno. Business people, when you're running your own business, you're so busy doing the work stuff of the basics of your job and your business that you forget that all these kinds of things really are hugely important to creating an ongoing connection. And I think I get in my own way by going, oh, I don't want to bother them. I mentioned that before. I'm like, oh, will they find it irritating if I'm pestering them for a review? And 9 times out of 10, people are super gracious. So, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Those 10, 15-second clips on Instagram and Twitter can be part of the beginning of something. And then, you know, leveraging someone like yourself to do something a bit more structured, that people can really get more of an understanding of, oh, wow, there's a whole community behind this business that really likes what
Very
they're doing.
powerful. And then vlogs, well, we know what vlogs are. They are just blogs in video form, and you're familiar with blogs because you've been doing those for a while. Then, of course, another very important type of video are videos that address frequently asked questions, which is actually what we did during the show. I asked you a number of common questions and you addressed those very well. And we have now those on video because this gets loaded onto YouTube at the end. Success story.
Fabulous.
What's that, Ron?
Oh, fabulous. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, success stories. People always like to hear success stories. So when something good happens in your business, write about it, video it, make a podcast from it.
Right. Absolutely. And we've done something kind of less structured. I've done postings, not anything video, but some of the most engaged postings that I do involve when I put out the gratitude to people around having had a great day at the market, or we've gotten rid of a product that we're hoping to sell the final amount on. And again, people are just really, really gracious, and they love when you're grateful. I think that's really important. You never want to second guess gratitude with your customer base.
Yes. Then I want to quickly zoom through these final videos. A mini documentary that can take some time to create, and news and commentary that is self-explanatory. Interviews, well, this is an interview. At the end of the show,
Yep.
we will have a YouTube video, which is an interview video. A webinar where you hold a discussion online with other people, like Google Hangout. Event.
Yeah.
Special events happening in your line of business. Those can be recorded and added to your marketing mix. Presentations, when you have any information which is interesting and relevant to your audience, you can present it to your audience. I mean, this can be a live event where you give a presentation to a group of people. You can have that recorded and
For sure.
marketing, you know, throughout the year and into the future. Live streaming multimedia. This is exactly live streaming multimedia, Blab Radio, which has become very popular, and more people are using it for obvious reasons. It's very easy to use.
I had no clue, Moreno. When you said Blab Radio initially, I thought you were just using some colloquial whatever. I had no clue that that's what this was all about. This is totally awesome.
You know, Ron, I have a blueprint of the only three roads that are available to any business owner for building videos, for making videos. And it gives a person a bird's eye view of the three directions and can very easily see which road is the best road for that business. I want to put it up here.
Excellent.
And let's see. I want to take a look at the images that are available. Let me see if I can pull up the directory. So I'll put up the first image, and one cannot see very clearly because it's a white screen, and the the video in front of us is square, but this blueprint shows the strengths and weaknesses of the different routes that one can take, the advantages and the disadvantages or the threats. It's a PDF, it's a downloadable file, and very clearly shows the route and the things to look out for on each of these routes. What the advantages are, what the disadvantages are. And I want you to download it, Ron.
Sure, thank you.
It's very easy to consume, very easy to understand. Once again, because it gives you a bird's eye view, the total picture of the different directions that you can go in for creating videos. And the best that I can do here is give you a link to go to. Go to this link and enter your name and email address, and then I will send you this blueprint. And of course, this applies to
Excellent.
everyone on the show, anyone who is interested in the ways, the opportunities that are available to us for creating videos. Go to this link, enter your email address, and download this document. It'll be of great value to you. I just need to pull up the link now.
And so maybe while you're doing that, Moreno, you had another question you wanted me to answer quickly. What advice do you give business owners who are not using marketing videos? And I've got my answer to that pretty quick. Don't write it off because it's something you don't feel you have a skill set for, or you have the idea of, well, what's this going to look like? Being able to ask for help and having people like yourself leveraging your skill set, your awareness, and your passion to help break this down, to go, how can I incorporate these kinds of things where we are as a business? I think sometimes when I first met Moreno and he asked me what our advertising budget was, and I said, we've done a couple of newspaper spots, and that was kind of it. We hadn't really given the credibility to go, all of this process, what we talked about, I'm going, there's a really big chunk to how our business grows and maintains that needs to be committed to these kinds of ways of thinking.
You're right. Video is the way to go. We look around us and it's being consumed everywhere. It's easy to consume and quick. It's informative, it's educational, it's entertaining.
Absolutely.
So everybody has to engage video. It's no longer an option, it's a requirement. And I've added the link in the chat box on the bottom right-hand corner. So you can click on that and it'll take you to a web page where you can download the blueprint. And on one of the seats, I've shown the link there, although it's not hyperlinked, so you can't use that. You can cut and paste for those people that
Perfect.
don't have the hyperlinked version. Okay, Ron, we've run out of time. And one last word from you, Ron.
I'd like to say that I appreciate the people that actually hopped on here. In my head, I go, oh, who's going to stop and listen? And so I'm grateful for the time that people took. I'm really grateful, Moreno, for the opportunity. And if you want to find us, our website is wildwestcoastseafoods.com. You can find us on all the social media for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. And again, a huge thank you, Moreno.
Thank you, Ron. You are very welcome. And this is Moreno with Moving Frames signing off. Until next Saturday, where we interview another business about how they do business and how they help people like you and me. And that'll be next Saturday at 2 p.m. Thank you for watching. See you again, Ron.
A pleasure, Moreno.